In what has become another tradition here at the Indianapolis Public Library during the month of May, it's the 5th annual Indy 500 Film Festival here at the Irvington branch. A series of vintage films dating back to even 1929 this year will be shown during 3 consecutive Tuesdays in May. Mike Hylton with the Irvington branch is coordinating this fun-filled festival of films. And Mike, 5 years, obviously very popular.
We're very pleased to say we're actually at the 5-year mark. There was a time I wouldn't have imagined that, and we fill the hall. The public likes it. I have a good time, and it just has become another great part of the month of May here in Indianapolis.
You're just giving people what they want during the month of May, right?
We hope so.
Well, let's talk about this film series. It begins on May 7th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Tell us about the films you've got planned for this year.
Well, they're all films I haven't shown yet. We haven't had any repeats thus far, and we're going to start out with a film I just acquired. It's called 20 Years a Champion. It's about the 1939 Indianapolis 500 race. As you've probably heard me say before, a lot of these films had sponsors who paid for their creation.
Right.
This was a Firestone film, and Firestone had 20 years of winners at Indianapolis, and thus the film 20 Years a Champion. Also, Wilbur Shaw gets mentioned in this, and we'll see race highlights, of course. After that, we will have the 1949 film Behind the Checkered Flag with Bill Holland's win. And then also that evening, we will have the 1968 preview of the future,
yes,
with Bobby Unser's first win. And the last year the Turbines ran in Indianapolis, and thus the preview for the future, because we knew what 1968 held, but we didn't know what 1969 held yet. Okay.
Mario Andretti.
Mario Andretti.
That's right. What's interesting, the very next week, there will be one film shown. It's called Speedway. This was actually a silent theatrical film. Tell us about the showing of Speedway on May 14th.
Very pleased to finally show Speedway. I've been wanting to show it for years and finally have a copy that I can show. Made by MGM in 1929. And all the exteriors were filmed here at Indianapolis. It starts out on Monument Circle, and then they quickly move out to the track, and everything's real. No sets, it's all real, and you have some of the drivers of the time are making cameos in the film. Our good guy William Haynes,
he was the star.
He is the star of the film. William Haynes is the star of the film, and he was doubled by an Indy driver named Deacon Litz. And when you see the actual track footage, Deacon Litz is playing for him, and then the evil guy Remy, he is doubled by the great driver Leon Duray, and his beautiful front drive Miller car. You'll see a lot of that in the film also. So kind of exciting for me to see the real and the theatrical all blended together, and this film will last about 75 minutes.
Well, the fact that it's a silent film too, it'll be interesting to see how they overlay music with the action and still have people understand the plot of what's going on between the good driver and the bad driver.
Well, be ready to read those title cards.
Okay.
All right.
That's on May 14th, and then the series concludes on May 21st, again with 3 films, the first of which I find interesting because it not only talks about the Indy 500, it talks about the Daytona race.
Yes, indeed. Once again, a sponsored film, and the sponsors want us to see how good their films are. And so we have in February of 1957 the Daytona Beach Race. It's the next to the last year for the beach race. By 1959, they had built the super speedway, but always very interesting to watch those truly stock cars running in that sand as they did.
Yeah, drifting out of the turn into the sand and then riding down the beach with the water on the side. That was the actual Daytona race back in the first years.
Those drivers were very brave and I think sometimes very lucky, in addition to being very talented, getting through that sand.
And then we have a couple of films, consecutive 1958 and 59 films that, again, give Indy 500 race highlights, right?
Yes, that is correct. 58, The Man with the Lead Foot, will cover 1958, indeed, and 1959, Men, Missiles, and 500 Miles is kind of an interesting title. It doesn't dwell much on it, but NASA had just been formed and we're interested in getting into space, and the Speedway was eager to draw parallels with the brave race car drivers and the brave astronauts in Men, Missiles, and 500 Miles. I also want to mention that Denny Miller will be here that night. 57, 58, and 59 happen to be Eddie Sachs' first 3 years of driving, and he is an Eddie Sachs author and expert, and he'll be introducing our films that night.
Oh, very good. So this is the 5th annual Irvington Library Indy 500 Film Fest. Mike Hylton is the coordinator, and if you would like more information about this free series, it is come one, come all, I'm sure.
We hope you'll join us.
Sure, you can call the Irvington branch or check the website at ndpl.org. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, John.